happened in the last few weeks, and some of it is very good and some of it is very bad.
Can you tell us about the Hat Trick Letter, how our listeners can subscribe, and how they can get a private consultation with you?
Sure. It's www.goldenjackass.com. I'm into my 22nd year now. I'm becoming a bit long in the tooth, but still sharp as a tack. The website is going strong. It's very accessible for the handheld items, handheld devices. I have time to do consult calls. I have one later this afternoon. A very nice lady in Texas. The Stock and Trade is the newsletter. And I tell you, it's a joy. It's a joy to cover this at the national level. It really is. And I'm not getting worn out at all by the war and the work and the analysis and the research. I'm just getting dragged down by the flack that I receive for being a defender of truth and honesty and liberty. So, the website is www.golden-jackass.com, and it's going strong. Sign up for the newsletter, do a consult call, make a donation, whatever. All right.
What are you hearing on the assassination of Charlie Kirk?
It was a bit too loaded with irregularities. I'm not a forensic analyst, but the blood spurt wasn't right. There's no recovery of the weapon in a clean manner. There's no ballistics verification of the bullet that supposedly hit. I've got a very good pair of photos of one is a double of Charlie Kirk. And it's a good double. It's like an 80% double. The NSA software concludes that it's the same person if the match is between something like 92 and 98%. We don't look the same a month later. We look a little bit different, our expression different, our hairline different, whatever. So there are a lot of, there's a lot of speculation on motive. Like the vote for the Senate to withhold and not release the Epstein files was pretty much at the same time. The little country in the southeast corner of the Mediterranean had been threatening Charlie Kirk, and they operate with total impunity to knock off our officials and to bribe them. So, yeah, and I got to say that I've got a really good source, and it's not military. A really good source, a sharp fellow with some connections. And they said that their whole family, Kirk's family, went into witness protection program. So who knows? He might be operating a 7-Eleven in Arizona somewhere. I don't really know, but I will say this. It looks pretty clearly that the incident will be used against the deep state, against the cabal, against maybe the little nation in the Mediterranean, the control center. And it might be used to bring about gradual implication and declaration of the Democratic Party as a terrorist organization and a domestic threat. So that's about all I have to say on that Kirk incident.
Could Charlie Kirk have faked his death because he thought some big players were going to kill him?
Yes, I am being told that for the last few weeks he's been threatened, and it's not just by the little country in the Med. It's some others, and I'm not really an expert on that, and I don't choose to be, and I really don't care about any comparisons with Butler, Pennsylvania, so we can skip that. This is not a topic that I wish to do much investigative research in. What I'm curious about is the aftermath. regardless of what the incident was, the aftermath is more important than the actual incident. I don't think he's dead. If I had to put a percentage on it, I'd say 85% certain that Charlie Kirk is somewhere else with his family. And it could very well be, and I've seen some pictures of his wife. Can't remember her name, Anita or something. I can't think of her name. But I saw pictures of the double for the wife also. Remember, most people you think are dead are alive, and most people you think are alive are dead. And just put that up on your wall.
Q talked about the shot heard around the world. Was the Charlie Kirk incident it?
Don't know.
Does it look like there are similarities between the President Trump shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania, and the Charlie Kirk shooting in Utah?
I don't know. It's a different person. I'm really not too interested in that sort of analysis. I'm busy with the finance and economics. I'm very curious to see, though, if there's going to be some movement to gradually declare the Democratic Party a criminal organization and try to RICO it and confiscate the Clinton Foundation funds. That's my curiosity. I don't think Kirk is dead.
Is deception in politics a tool that's being used more and more often?
Yeah, and I think it's been going on for 5 or 6 or 8 years. I mean, how long ago was it that we got the nonsensical double of Pompeo and the stupid story that he spent 7 months at a spa to lose 70 pounds and to completely change his facial structure? Okay, that was 3 or 4 years ago. This has been going on. I mean, Biden in 2020 in the autumn was dead. So you had a dead man and someone pretending to be him doing a presidential campaign. This has been going on for a long time. Many people you think are dead are alive, and many people you think are alive are dead. For instance, Princess Diana, she's alive and well. I think she's hiding in Spain somewhere, a guest of King Carlos. John Lennon, he's not dead. He's probably running around in California somewhere among the hippies. A lot of people are not dead who supposedly were killed. This has tremendous political capital and benefit. And the hard part is sequestering him and his family so that the real ones aren't killed.
Is President Trump more likely to rely on doubles following the assassination of Charlie Kirk?
I think he's been using doubles for 10 years.
Should President Trump designate the World Economic Forum a terrorist organization?
Yeah, I think so. I'd like to see a number of different institutions declared terrorist organizations. The World Economic Forum in Davos, for one. The George Soros Open Society, for another. Soros is dead, and Alex is running it, his son. They're deeply involved in a lot of the different corruption. I think the Gates Foundation should be considered a terrorist organization, and also paying for censorship among big tech companies. There's a long list, and they're all associated with the Democratic Party. And now we're getting cheering for let's just call it the apparent killing of Kirk. And there's cheering among the Democratic Party. There's cheering in various U.S. government federal offices, and there's cheering in the Pentagon among the U.S. military. So this needs to be cleaned up. And I go back to a joke that I have been using now for a few months, and I had been applying it to judges who are corrupt. Will all the traitors please rise? So this is an instigating incident that prompts a response. And, there are some different murder mystery television series and movies, and sometimes it's not the evidence that brings about charges for murder. It's responses to stimuli that indicate the motive and the past activity of the killer. So now I'm noticing this is really quite interesting, that there's, cheering on certain, Supreme Court decisions, and they're cheering for exoneration in court, and there's cheering for, corrupt judges making a decision. Now there's cheering for the apparent kill of Charlie Kirk. Well, all traitors, please rise. Rise to be counted. Okay. This is very deep. And for those who thought that President Trump's election would be, oh my gosh, is it going to be all cleaned up in 2 or 3 months? No. Try 2 or 3 years, it'll be halfway cleaned up. This is a long process.
Should we be concerned about artificial intelligence and its potential effects on the economy, labor market, and society?
Yes, I think we should. We don't have any really responsible body that oversees the entire industry and the sector. I know it's going to remove some jobs. It's not going to remove as many jobs as people think. I had some design engineers, like electronic engineer, chip designer, electronic device designers. They contacted me and said, no, AI doesn't remove jobs. It cannot do the job of an electronic engineer. It can do tasks. So what you're having is some companies are saying, we're going to reduce 1,000 or a few hundred people. And it could be for the bad economy. It could be for the economic depression that's not acknowledged. But they're using I don't like to call it an excuse, but they're using the argument that AI is making unnecessary certain jobs. Well, it's making unnecessary many tasks, but you can't give a robot the job of being a project manager behind a chip design. You can give various tasks. So there might be, let's just think you got 100 people, 100 design engineers at a large company like Intel, which had a major layoff, and Microsoft, they had a major layoff. Of the 100 design engineers for chips, they might each have their load reduced by 20%. You don't get rid of those people because their jobs can be replaced. You can manage fewer people, the same work. But the AI device, the AI robot, does not replace a person. It enables reduction of workforce because they're all more efficient. I know it seems the same thing, but it's not exactly the same thing. You cannot get a robot to write a newsletter. You can get a robot to handle various tasks. So if I had a staff of 10, let's just say more practical, a staff of 5, I could reduce it to 4. Okay, it's subtle. The difference is subtle. But there's a lot more to be concerned about, and that is AI devices doing hacking of financial records and financial accounts. There's concern about AI being involved in taking over, say, a weapon system, just like the movie Terminator with Skynet, Arnold Schwarzenegger. We got to be careful about that, and I don't think all the different protections are in place. The effect on the economy is going to be very positive, but there's another side of AI that needs to be handled and resolved. The electrical needs are going to be electricity needs and requirements. It's going to result in 3 to 5 more years of increasing electric bills for households because we're not planning. China is planning. We're not planning. We're free. Well, supposedly. China's not, but China has central planning. The United States does not have central planning. We require a data center to be profitable in like 2 or 3 quarters. But that's not how you get things done. We're going to be behind the curve for the next several years, and the tariff imposition is interfering with our expansion of the electric grid. SoftBank has put on hold its $100 billion investment in robotics and data centers. because of the tariffs imposed unilaterally on Japan. Okay, I have said many times, the tariff policy is destructive. It produces two losers. We may get income from tariffs, but it's not translated into economic growth. It's all delayed by 2.5 years minimum. I question if anyone has any information on this. Has SoftBank broken ground on anything in the United States in the last 6 months after their pledge of $100 billion? They backed away after the Japanese tariffs. I don't think it's a good idea to impose tariffs on Japan. They're too important, positive, and beneficial trade partner. It's carrot and stick. There's too much stick and not enough carrot. But we got to be careful about AI harming people. Like, oh gosh, Walmart has something where it can actually review records, review certain, maybe even emails, and change the price of something that the person is looking for in the store. I don't know exactly how it's done, but it is marketing at an individual level with spyware. Okay, we have to be careful about this. What if AI is used by the Democrat Party? They're not really Democratic, so I call them the Dem Party. And it's used in order to create targets to kill. Okay, we have to be careful. And so far, we're just going ramrod, push it, and we're not thinking much about the ethics. And I really don't have a solution on how to handle the ethics, only that it needs to be addressed.
Is RFK Jr. doing a good job so far shining light on healthcare and big pharma?
Yes, I do, and I've got to say that I believe his approach is careful, cautious, and selective. Just imagine that you've got a very big target, and it's got maybe 8 rings to it. I think Robert Kennedy, Health Secretary Kennedy, is going after the rings number 5, 6, 7, and 8, and he's not yet addressed the central rings. The bullseye, the second ring, third ring, fourth ring. He's not done any prosecution recommendations for genocide by Big Pharma, for genocide conspiracy with the American Medical Association. He's not done anything regarding sabotage and arson of food processing centers, subsidiaries, and central offices, the American Medical Association. A lot of Americans, sadly, and Canadians don't understand. But what I think has happened regarding Robert Kennedy is very delicate. He's chosen some, not exactly low-lying fruit, but very important lower-level fruit, like reforming the Food and Drug Administration, firing directors of the Center of Disease Control in Atlanta, advertising and facilitating the information flow regarding ivermectin and fenbendazole for attacking parasites, which brings about a very big implication. And I believe over half the cancer cases are a result of parasites, not DNA alteration and damage. We're getting way too many cures for cancer based on drugs designed to kill parasites. And I have begun my own treatment for regular, not daily, but regular parasite treatment, because the parasites are causing cancer, and that's yet another area of medicine that's being suppressed so that people don't remain aware, don't become aware. Robert Kennedy is doing a really good job on the outer rings of the target. And believe you me, his entire family has been threatened with a kill. Kennedy's doing a really, really good job. I'd like to see the FDA all fired. They're all Big Pharma former executives. They're regulating themselves. Okay, he's doing a very good job. Let's move on.
Do you think the American people are the only ones that President Trump answers to?
Lord, no. He answers to the cabal. He answers to Thiel. He answers to 2 or 3 billionaires that helped fund his campaign. He answers to the little country in the southeast corner of the Mediterranean where they wear little hats. I actually believe that Trump was born into a certain religion, and he's been keeping it quiet, and he instead put out the story that he converted to that religion. I think Trump is in a very difficult position. He wants to restore liberty, but I believe he has to do it at a very slow pace. He has to do it step by step, and he also has outer rings of the target. So he's going after his outer rings. Notice that he's really not done what he promised regarding war in the Middle East. He's not done what he intended to do in Ukraine. He went in as a swashbuckling victor in Ukraine when, I don't know if he's aware, but the United States doesn't have an army in Ukraine. They just have a proxy of NATO. So he's not really done a lot in Ukraine. I think he's getting a lot of pushback from the narcos who operate Ukraine. Ukraine is a trafficking hub for the entire planet, especially Europe. Trafficking of everything, and their banks are in Switzerland.
Are we likely to see silver shortages ahead?
We've had silver shortages for the last few years. They're becoming acute, and I believe they're going to become near catastrophic really soon because Mexico, having turned communist a few years ago without the headlines, is now a direct partner for selling concentrated ore, gold and silver, to China. It's very possible that because of declaring silver a national security metal that Mexico did and also President Trump has done, we're going to see less silver supply made available outside the military channels. It is my firm conviction that in the last year or two or more, the U.S. military has worked with J.P. Morgan to keep the silver price down. So I have a saying, and it's not intended to be too funny. It's intended to shock. We're still going to get some moves. I think we're probably going to see close to $50 price or challenge by the end of the year. So we're likely to see 15 and 20% gains in silver in the next few months, but we're likely to see 10 and 20-fold gains, 20x, 10, 15, 20-fold gains in XRP as the bridge asset for transfer systems, which we'll address in a few minutes.
As the price of gold continues to rise, is it still a safe haven?
Oh, absolutely. There's no counterparty risk. Silver has the same lack of counterparty risk. It's not just a safe haven. It's a great store of value. I don't like hearing that Bitcoin is a great store of value. Well, yeah, if you don't have any intellectual property and if you don't have any contracts or a headquarter or a CEO, then emphasize the store of value. Okay, I get that, and I'll address that point a little bit later. But gold and silver have innate tangible value. And don't let the fact that there's so much gold hidden in various troves around the planet, don't let that dissuade you. Gold is still valuable, and that gold is not for sale. Just because there's a lot of supply doesn't mean it's available for sale. Let me phrase that differently. Just because there's a lot in inventory doesn't mean it's ready supply for sale. That's a very difficult point for some people to wrap their heads around. But, just take one instance. There are a lot of televisions in the United States and Canada. They're millions. Why doesn't the price go down to like $10? They're not for sale. Yeah, gold's a great store of value. So is silver.
What are you hearing on the U.S. dollar and stablecoin?
Oh, stablecoin is a very big issue, and you really got to sign up for the newsletter to learn more about it, because I'm thinking about making a large section on stablecoins, because they're the ocean of liquidity for the digital financial tech system, the digital financial system, and there's a transformation going on. The stablecoins, by definition, are tied 1-to-1, approximately, give or take, a portion of 1%, to existing currencies like the dollar, the British pound, the euro, or the yen. So the stablecoin is stable by definition. It's a digital coin. For instance, USD Tether. If you did a chart for USD Tether, USDT, T is in Tether, you will see that for the last few years it has varied between 99.9 cents and 100.1 cents. Okay, so it's stable. But there's something going on with respect to stablecoin that I believe has caused an alert. And so far, the Russian finance minister is the only office that has addressed this. It looks very clear like the U.S. government managers are using stable coins in order to dump treasury bonds. And I believe in the next 6 months, it's going to be quite apparent that treasuries have contaminated the stablecoin ocean of liquidity. There has to be some form of a debt write-down, and it might come with the stable coin, rendering them unstable. Okay, so the dollar is seeing a sunset, and I've been saying for 2 years or more, the sunset will not be on a given day. It'll be on a sequence of years. I believe we're in about the 3rd year of the dollar sunset. I mean the debt default multi-event situation. This is not simple. Sign up for the newsletter. Learn more about crypto in general. I don't like the name crypto. It makes it sound devious. It's digital finance. I have a chapter each month now for the last few months on digital finance. I decided about a year ago I will take this on as an area of study, because my 3 favorite assets right now are gold, silver, and XRP in reverse order. Number 1, XRP. Number 2, silver. Number 3, gold.
Why are you bullish on the XRP crypto?
Because I've got 18 features and factors that indicate that it is going to be at the epicenter of the digital transformation from the old, corrupt, fraudulent U.S. dollar, call it the fiat system, the paper system, the open outcry system. For instance, how easy is it to detect multi-trillion-dollar fraud, at least 2 or 3 trillion for duplicate serial numbers on treasury bonds? It's very difficult. But if it were all on the blockchain, it would be apparent to thousands of people doing mining. So there's a digital revolution coming on. I don't like that word as much as transformation. There's a transformation involved at present. And here's something that should really make a critical point. Certain digital finance analysts are being hired by Wall Street to teach them about digital finance. They have been opposing Bitcoin and others. I'm not a fan of Bitcoin. I respect Ethereum, but I don't like Bitcoin. It doesn't have any intellectual property. Ethereum has contractual usage with coin exchange transfers. We have a situation where for several years the established traditional financial system, along with its politics, like the executives making rules, like you can't transfer money from your bank account to your coin exchange account. Well, those rules are falling by the wayside, one by one by one. We're having now big banks involved in setting up custodial wallets so that you can have a bank account with a bank, but the bank account is really for a wallet of coins. In other words, they're bridging the gap to bring brokerage to the coin exchange from the big banks. Big banks soon will have three types of accounts: a bank account for savings, etc., checking, saving, checking, an account for brokerage, stocks, bonds, an account for wallets for the coin exchange, your Bitcoin and Ethereum currencies and your altcoins that have true value, intellectual property and contracts and usage and adoption. I'm bullish on XRP because of its unique position as a trailblazer for making extraordinary intellectual property like on-demand liquidity. No other altcoin has on-demand liquidity for transfers, which means that all the corresponding escrow accounts, the Vostro account over there and the Nostro account at the origin, ours and theirs, no longer are necessary. There's like a consensual